Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows from shows ranging from the 90s to today.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany,
And I'm Cynthia.
and today we're talking about season 6, episode 5, titled The Impostors, aired October 23rd, 2002, and the synopsis is
Heather Tracy, Dawson's movie producer, arrives on the set and threatens to shut down production on the film if Natasha isn't replaced. Back at Worthington University, Eddie has an argument with Professor Hetson over him criticizing Joey's presentation, and he storms out of the class. Meanwhile, Emma asks Audrey to be the new lead singer of her punk rock band, Hell's Bells, and then Pacey continues working late hours and ends up missing Audrey's debut performance. Also, Jack confronts Professor Freeman after he gives Jack's paper a C minus, which Jack thinks was the result of an argument from the previous day. So at Hell's Kitchen, Joey asks Emma's help to get Eddie to talk to her. And Emma says that if Joey lets her rip her shirt, then she would, do wonders for her tips. And then Joey's mind ends up being in the gutter for that one. But then Eddie does finally pay attention to Joey because she needs drink orders. But he's avoiding her because he finds her intimidating now that she's tried to ram her tongue down his throat, quoted by him.
eh, I didn't care for the scene.
Oh, yeah.
Did you like
Well,
it?
I mean, I did wonder what was going to happen after that. It did seem awkward
Yeah, but
after that.
this whole
Yeah.
episode was kind of weird.
Yeah, well, Joey, brings up that shouldn't talk about it ever again. It was implied even though they didn't actually say it. And then Emma interrupts him and says she's going to rehearsal for her band because they're performing there at Hell's Kitchen tonight. And Eddie
Did you
volunteers to
know
put
did you
flyers.
know that Emma was in a band?
Well, she had her drum set in her apartment, so I figured she was.
Hmm.
And then she tells Joey and Eddie to make up because the customers would appreciate it. So even she knows what happened between them. Or at least got the vibe of it.
Well, yeah, because didn't Eddie say something to her?
Yeah, it kind of seemed that way, but wasn't entirely sure. So he said to Joey that he didn't tell her, but yeah, they did share a look when she before she left. Because Eddie said that uh Eddie didn't need to say anything because Joey does a good job at embarrassing herself. So he doesn't need to do anything to make it worse. And then after the theme song, Dawson walks into the bar where Natasha and Todd are. And then Natasha ends up leaving to get some sleep for filming tomorrow. And
So
Todd's all drunk.
I did think it was funny when Todd said, "Your inability to relax disturbs me."
Hmm.
And Dawson's like,
Yeah.
"Well, this needs to get done, this." He's like, basically, there's no time to relax.
Yeah.
But I think for Todd, the fact that he is Dawson doing all the work, he doesn't need to worry about how anything's going to get done.
Right.
He just shows up to set and it's all
Hmm.
done.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem about people who get too in their head when they become high up and successful
Hmm.
is they forget what it's like to start at the bottom,
Right.
that others are doing the work for you,
Hmm.
that you clearly forget that the reason why all like if you didn't have all those people, nothing would get done.
Right.
It's the same thing as like managers and stuff. It's like they forget that there are people that are doing the work.
Hmm.
And that's how things are being ran is, things are getting done because of others, not
Hmm.
because of you, but yet they all take the credit and it drives me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dawson just wants to know from Todd what they're going to do because they need a plan B for filming Friday because it might rain and they're supposed to be outside. So they need a plan B in case if it does. But Todd's not interested because he just wants to drink. And then that's when Heather walks up and, you can tell that there's some history there between him and Heather by the way that they talk to each other.
Do you like that, Heather?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you like that, Heather? The producer lady.
Yeah. Yeah, she's okay. I didn't like her later on, but this scene it was nice because you could tell that she wasn't going to put up with any of Todd's nonsense. while she's there. And then
Yeah, but then she was yapping about her hotel
yeah,
and how
she
it wasn't good enough for her.
yeah, so she made Dawson get her a better room.
Again, I can't stand people like that. Like, you just think that you deserve all of the, like, just
Hmm.
take what they have and shut up. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's not happy that Pat wasn't taking her calls, so she had to show up in person and talk to him. So
I'm
yeah.
surprised he talks to, like, takes anyone's calls. I mean, have you met him?
Hmm.
And the only reason why he talks to Dawson is because he's like, do this, do this, do this, call this person. So it's like, I'm surprised that, unless he's barking orders at you, he's not
Hmm.
really going to talk to you.
Yeah, so I could tell that Dawson was enjoying seeing Ty on the hot seat now. Because last episode it was vice versa. I was enjoying seeing
How
Dawson.
did you like how she kept saying like your friend, your buddy, like about Dawson? It's like, I don't really
Right.
think they're like buddies, but okay. Like Dawson put him in his phone as Satan. So
Hmm. Yeah,
what
like
does
he
that
changed
tell
it.
you?
Yeah. And then at the apartment, Audrey is listening to music while reading a book that she has for one of her classes. First time she's done that ever since we've seen her do actually homework, besides for that study for the exam before, but that was with Joey. So now she's doing work actually on her own.
Well, she never really studied to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the first time she's actually opened a book.
For once, she's actually going to do something.
Hmm. And
I'm
Pacey's
surprised that she's actually doing anything because wouldn't she be so behind?
right. Yeah. There'd be no point in doing anything now. And then
Mm.
Pacey's also studying, but Pacey can tell something's off with Audrey. So he tries talking to her, but she kind of ignores him.
But isn't she listening to music or something?
Yeah, that too. So I don't know how she can even be reading.
I was gonna say, because when he's like, "Oh, it looks like you're enjoying your book." No, it looks like she's like singing a song in her head.
Hmm.
That's what I thought. Like when he said that, I was like, "Huh?" It looks like she's enjoying the music more than she's enjoying the book.
Hmm.
And again, I don't even know if she's really reading because she's sitting there, nodding her
Hmm.
head, enjoying the music. So I don't know how she's accomplishing the book.
Hmm. And the music's loud too, so she can't even really be to concentrate with that.
Yeah, so I don't know what he meant because again, how she was acting was it was about the music, not the book.
Hmm. I think he was just trying to get her attention to talk. So that's what he thought of.
Well, then why didn't he say the music? Because that's the one thing that she was doing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just the way he went with. And then when he finally does get her attention, when he says, "Hey, Audrey," when she's by the fridge getting something to drink, kind of loud so she can hear from her music. And he brings up how Jack told him about how they separated at the party and if something happened. And, she says no. But as a former party girl, meaning Jen, she's not really even on a first name basis with trouble.
But it was nice that he was like, "Oh, did anything happen?"
Hmm.
I thought that was nice.
Yeah.
And of course, something did, but Audrey isn't saying anything, and I'm actually surprised that Audrey would even remember
Right.
because she was wasted.
Hmm.
And, I mean, even Jen said she was ready to pass out. So it's like, how would you even remember what happened
Right.
besides you got wasted,
Hmm.
which she's done before. So it's not like it's new that
Yeah.
she's partying. So I
Hmm.
just didn't really think that was, and I mean, nobody's really talked to her, I would think, since. So it's not like anybody has said, so this is what happened,
Hmm.
and you should keep it a secret because I would just think she wouldn't know.
Right.
So that was odd to me that she's playing it as if she knew what happened
Hmm.
when she was supposedly so drunk.
Yeah. And then Pacey mentions how they have the apartment to themselves tonight, but Audrey just says she's tired and just kind of brushes it off. So, because he did want to sleep with her right there and then when he mentioned it, but they kind of pushed him away. So he just went back to studying. And then the next morning, Emma's back at the apartment. Don't know what time she got back, but she's mad that Pacey finished all the coffee because they stayed up all night again studying.
Why doesn't she just make the coffee?
Well, because she thought he completely used it up. So she didn't think they had more in the apartment, but they did.
Oh, it just kind of bothered me. It's like she expected as soon as she walked in and there was coffee made for her, and it's like,
I think it's just
I
the fact
can't.
that it was like he drank the coffee, what's it called? The coffee pot. There you go. Like drink all that was already in there. So she didn't think that she had any more to make after that. So she just thought he used the rest of it up.
So go to the store.
I don't know. I
I'm
think
just
she,
saying, like, you can't just blame like one person if all of you are drinking it.
hmm well, she just
And
knows that.
so that means the day before you were low on it. So maybe you should have went to the store.
Yeah, well, Pacey's been up all night studying, so he's been drinking a lot of coffee day and night. So,
I know, but
he pro-
eventually she would know that it's like if you check, you would see that it's low and you should probably go get some more.
okay. Yeah, well, she just probably thought that since Pacey's been drinking most of it, he should have probably got some more, if anything. And then
She just bothered me.
Audrey's still there, apparently taking a shower. And Emma doesn't like this
Apparently,
because,
she's always there,
yeah, and Emma doesn't like that. And Pacey does say that it's Jack at
which
first until,
which is weird that she doesn't like it because wouldn't she like having someone else around instead of the boys?
well, it seemed like she didn't like Audrey that much. So,
Well, she took the call. Remember when they were trying to use Audrey to get the apartment?
yeah, I'm just saying, like, now that she's gotten to know her, she doesn't just really like her.
Oh, just like me. I don't like her either. But for different reasons than Emma. But I will
Mm-hmm.
say, when she said, "How long is she gonna be in the shower for?" And he said, "Well, as big as your water um tank is or whatever." I was like, "Oh my God."
Mm-hmm.
And like I felt bad for Emma in that moment because it's like she has to get to work or whatever, and Audrey's hogging the shower. Like
Yeah.
I get that point of like I need to take a shower too, and you're in the shower using up all
Mm-hmm.
my water,
Yeah.
and you don't even live here. Like I get that part. Like
Mm-hmm.
Audrey definitely should have went home
Yeah.
because there are other people in the apartment than just her.
Yeah. So Emma didn't know it was Audrey in the shower until she started singing. But yeah, I don't know why Audrey even stayed there to take a shower. She could have just done that back at the dorms because it's not like she didn't, sleep with Pacey that night. I guess she just slept in his bed by herself because he was on the couch all night. So I really don't get why she even stayed throughout the night.
Hmm. Well, and she's eating all the food and stuff. Like you don't live there. Like I get
Mm-hmm.
that part.
Yeah. So Pacey tells Emma just to talk it through with Audrey and just let him know how it went, and then he just leaves. So he's not in trouble anymore.
But yeah, he's like, you deal with it. And it's like, but
Mm-hmm.
she's your girlfriend and she's your problem.
Yeah. And then when Emma does go into the bathroom and talk to Audrey, she's listening to her singing. Did you recognize the song Audrey was singing?
No, I was thinking it was bad.
Mm. Well, it's California Dreamin' by the Mamas and Papas, and apparently Emma liked Audrey singing, so she didn't say anything, just
Um,
was listening.
did you?
No. And then back in the pop culture class, Jen asked Jack what happened to him at the party after they lost him, and Jack asked her the same question, and Jen just says that they went nowhere. And Jen wants details about Jack now, and Jack does say that he was with the professor, but nothing happened because he's straight. But even if he wasn't, he wouldn't get involved because obviously he's married and has a kid on the way and everything. And then professor walks in late, but the TAs hand back the papers, and it seems like that um, you know, Jack's grade suffered after their conversation the night prior because professor did say he really liked his paper, and then now he sees it with a C minus on it. So I know it's gonna
My
be.
what I was thrown off with is like, because Jack's like, well, he's straight, but
Hmm.
he's sort of like made some kind of move in the car.
Yeah.
Like there was something more than just you're my student,
Hmm.
even more than like a friend.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, all of a sudden in this episode he's straight and like it's like, but there was something in the car. It's like I don't get this.
I think Jack just said that just so Jen would get off, not bother him about it anymore because they didn't
Yeah,
want
but
to
he
talk
says
about
it
it.
later.
Yeah, like I said, and you can just tell the professor later on doesn't like he's not he hasn't really come out to himself yet, and that's the whole issue too. Yeah, because apparently Jen got a B plus on hers, so it really was a shocker to see Jack get such a lower grade than her.
Yeah, well, yeah, because she was like, well, you're no, you're actually trying and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you should have a higher grade than me.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, he's given him a bad grade because of what happened.
Yeah.
It's clear.
Mm-hmm. And then Joey sees Eddie outside in the courtyard putting up the flyers for Emma's band.
I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Eddie being so mean?
I don't know.
Have you noticed them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, Joey brings up about how, she's been immature about it, but at first she said both of them were, but Eddie's, gave her a look like, not me, just you. So yeah,
Yeah, but it seems
he,
like he doesn't like what's like. I don't know. I just don't get it right now. Like he's being so mean. Like she's the one that should be embarrassed. She's because she made
mhm,
the move, but yet he's the one. I don't know, just being a jerk. I don't know.
yeah,
Like if it's no big deal,
mm-hmm,
then why are you acting this way?
yeah,
So do you think it's a bigger deal than what like I don't get it.
right,
I don't get the meanness because like she's trying to talk to him and stuff, and he's like, just go away. And it's
mm-hmm,
like, but why? I don't get it.
yeah, yeah,
Like
he's
if you
giving,
don't want to talk about it anymore, then why are you like why not just continue your friendship?
mm-hmm, yeah, he's giving mixed signals because then he gives advice to Joey about not backing down to the professor in class. And then that's when Joey asks about, his presentation and he changes the subject. So, um, he tells Joey that if he is being a jerk, just let him know to not pretend things are nice when they're not, even though he's the one that's not being nice. But he mentions how she calls their kiss an incident. I think that's what he was mad about, but still, again, not really that much of a big deal. And then Joey finds out.
Especially when that night he stopped it and said,
Mm-hmm.
basically, let's let this go. It's because of Dawson, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's the one that shut it down to begin with.
Yeah.
He's the one that acted like this is no big deal. You're just going through something, blah, blah. Like, and now all of a sudden, next episode, it's blown out of proportion. She's trying to like keep it as, it's nothing because that's what basically you said.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's twisting it
Mm-hmm.
as now she doesn't care, but she did care and you threw that in her face.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't get it.
Yeah. So she's walking toward the library with him, but then she finds out that he's not going there like she is for the class. So then he just gives her a bunch of flyers to hang up from there. And then he just goes somewhere else. I don't know where, but and then on the movie set, Heather has taken over and she's firing some people now. And Todd's trying to make her happy by giving her eggs that Dawson had to get for her.
So, how did you like how she said, we hate the girl?
Well, I didn't know who we was, but
I
yeah.
know. I was like, okay. I'm guessing it's all the executive produce, like it's like the network.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm guessing because it's clearly nobody on set because nobody on set has really said anything. It's Heather and all her bosses. That's what I got.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly
So,
Todd and Dawson don't hate her. So it's like, I don't know.
mm-hmm. But we don't even know if this movie is being made for film or TV. They never really say either.
No, but somebody high up hates her.
Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure
Now,
if it's a network or not.
well, yeah. And it's kind of like, I mean, what made them realize that? Because they've only been working on the movie for how long?
I don't
And
know,
it's
some
kind of
days.
like, and it's kind of like they already got word that she's not doing a good job.
Mm-hmm. I guess I just heard about her messing up the first day a lot.
Well, she did.
Mm-hmm. And then they're apparently behind schedule and budget too. They're over budget.
Now, I do agree with that of like, it's one thing to have a bad day,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a whole lot of drama going on that took away from work.
Yeah.
And especially when you're making a movie, and I mean, when you're doing anything and it's costing the company money,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to look at who's to blame and they're going to fire you.
Yeah.
Like if you're not being, responsible and doing your job, why shouldn't they let you go?
Right.
So I do agree with she's messing up. she's the problem. If you brought in another actress that knows what to do,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's Hollywood. They replace people every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because they're making a big deal, Todd and Dawson. Like Dawson's like, oh, but she can't. And it's like, but Dawson, it's Hollywood.
Yeah, just because he cares for her, that's why.
I know, but again, if she wasn't drunk on set, like that'd have been the first thing to fire her for.
Mm-hmm.
She's drunk on set. You don't go to work. Like, Cynthia, can you go to work drunk?
No, no, my workplace, definitely.
Yeah, it's like you can't go to work drunk. So why would
Mm-hmm.
you think that's okay?
Right.
If a normal person shows up to work drunk, they will get fired. So why
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't that be the same thing on a set?
Yeah.
So it's like that should have been the first reason why Heather should have said, well, she's gone. Not just
Mm-hmm.
because she is wasting our money, but because she's also shown up drunk and not being responsible.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't like either how Heather didn't even bother to like really remember Natasha's name, so she just referred her as the one with the nice rack.
All of a
Did you
sudden
catch that?
it's about your body.
Mm-hmm.
Like this season.
Mm-hmm. And then Dawson suggests about putting a clip together, of the scene that they did film with Natasha so far to show that she can do this role.
So the only scene they filmed this whole time.
I guess, yeah. Whatever they had.
Well,
Yeah,
and I'm
so
sorry, but like you have to think too, if you're putting money in
mm-hmm.
and it's not up to par of how you would want it, wouldn't you
Mm-hmm.
let the people go too
Yeah.
and find better people?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Dawson getting fired, Todd getting fired, Natasha, I'd be
Mm-hmm.
letting all of them go too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but at some point, does become about money and not about feelings.
Mm-hmm. And then back at the school with Jen and Jack, they're still talking about their grades and how Jax has to be a mistake somehow. And then Jack does see his professor after class to speak with him. And,
Oh,
you
so you
know,
know what I thought was funny was when Jack confronted him and he was like, it was a paper that you enjoyed. And
hmm
then the professor has the nerve to say, I said that?
right.
I
Yeah.
was like, what? Oh my God. It's like as if he forgot everything he just said. Oh my,
Right. But he
I
didn't forget
couldn't.
about, yeah,
Yeah, I
but he didn't
couldn't.
forget about what he said to Jack at the last time they saw him.
Well, yeah, that's why he got that grade.
Hmm
And isn't it weird? Because didn't he say when he was telling the class something about like the PA kind of like graded them, but then in reality, he graded the test or the paper.
Yeah, he reviews them. Yeah.
I was like, you can't blame the PA.
hmm Yeah. So the professor explains that he just enjoyed the content, and Jack's grasp of structure, on the other hand, is very basic, and says he can recommend some books for Jack to help with that, and that he can't really talk right now because he has to go to another class. And that a C minus really isn't that bad, but it kind of is because it's like right before like failing grade.
Well, and that might be a paper that is 70% of your grade.
Hmm
You know what I mean? So that it might be something that's important.
Yeah. And then Jack said that he thought he was doing better this time, and the professor had the audacity to say that maybe his expectations were too high.
Well, and he said, you even said yourself, you're basically doing poorly. And it's like,
Hmm
what?
Yeah. So just putting him down even more. And then back in the movie set, Tadia's cut and Dawson walks over and tells Todd that Heather left to the gym so they can talk to Natasha now and, um, put that clip together. And then Dawson follows Natasha to talk to her in like the wardrobe um, part. It looks like little tent, but he walks in at the wrong time and she doesn't know that he's going to walk in like that. So she's already undressed halfway by the time he walks in. So that's a awkward moment.
Well, why would you go into wardrobe and not like announce you're coming in?
Right. I guess he didn't think she could get dressed that quickly. I don't know, but yeah, he should have.
I mean, but anybody could have been in wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
it's just weird that you wouldn't just be like, hey, it's me, I'm coming in. Like, it just bothered
Hmm.
me because I'm like, you should announce yourself. Like,
Hmm.
because it didn't look like there was a door that you could knock on.
Yeah, it was just like a
But
tent.
yeah, it was a tent. So you should stand out there and be like, hey, it's me. Can I come in? And then she'd
Hmm.
say no because
Yeah.
I have my shirt off. Like,
Hmm.
eh.
And I'm surprised nobody was in there with her that works that department, that would help her.
Yeah, because aren't they supposed to like see if it fits you and or looks
Hmm.
right on you?
Yeah.
Or if they even like the color and all that? They're supposed to go over all that, I thought. I
Hmm.
thought that's what wardrobe is for.
Yeah. And then Natasha does tell Dawson that she knows she's in the doghouse and, probably knows that it's has to do something with Heather for being there. So Dawson just talks through the scene with her, the emotional scene, and just tells her not to really think too much, just act.
Now, because Natasha thinks that Heather's there because of her, which she is, um, why wouldn't she try to suck up to her?
I don't know.
Because I'm like, if that was me and, you know, some executive or whatever was coming in, like, I would make sure, like, I'm really nice. And, it just bothered
Hmm.
me that she was just like, oh, who's that? Like, just had that attitude. And I'm like, but I don't get it. Like, she's here for you. You know that. And yet you're not even being nice.
Hmm.
That would probably go a long way too.
Yeah, like,
Or if you were so sympathetic, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna do my best. Like nothing.
mhm,
Natasha just blew it all off again.
yeah. And like she could have done something like she did with Todd and getting the flowers.
Like, I'm so sorry I messed up. That will never
Hmm.
happen.
Hmm.
Here's some flowers.
Yeah. And then at Pacey's workplace, Audrey shows up in the middle of the day with no
Yeah.
warning.
I'm surprised she knows where he works.
Yeah. Then so he doesn't make sure he gets in trouble. Like he guides her to a different room, a little conference room for privacy, and that's when she says about her gig with Emma's band because Emma wants her to be the lead singer. So she has like a tryout for their performance tonight at Hell's Kitchen, and she wants him to be there.
Yeah, I was like, Audrey in a band. Okay. News to me.
Hmm. So he just tells her he'll be there as long as she leaves right now, and she does. And then at school, Joey's giving her presentation, and then the professor actually stops her and says that he's so bored he's losing his pulse. So he's another rude professor.
What do you mean another?
And Jack's professor being rude.
Because
But
he's the same producer that's been rude since episode 1 of the season.
oh, well, I mean, character wise, like they're just both mean to their students.
Yeah, but he's been rude to Joey.
I know, I'm just saying, like, he's just making it worse
But
by
and
saying
he
that from the
loves
class.
and he loves to pick on Joey.
Hmm.
Like, of course he's gonna say that hers is boring. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, apparently she's supposed to be teaching the subject of this book. And so he asks, questions, and she can't really give him the exact detailed answer he wants. So Eddie ends up saying the answer for her to help her out.
well, you knew it was coming because he's like, anyone? Anyone?
Hmm.
Like looking around. And it's like, of
Yeah.
course you know that Eddie knows the book. And of
Hmm.
course, I mean, otherwise, why would Eddie be in the class? Like in this
Hmm.
scene, if he's not gonna say something. And so he does to help her out. And it's like, just waiting for it because, it was just typical.
Yeah. And then the professor was rude to Eddie too, because he's surprised. He isn't surprised Eddie knows, although he really volunteers, he always knows. And then the
But didn't he
professor,
volunteer before?
yeah, he
Like
just says rarely
that's how we
volunteers.
met him,
Hmm.
was he spoke out when Joey didn't know.
Yeah, he just said rarely volunteers. And then the professor goes back to Joey and says, thank God Eddie's here to pick up the slack for you.
Well,
And
I
that she
thought it
can go,
was weird when he said your doppelganger.
yeah, that didn't make too much sense.
No, I was like, what?
Hmm. Yeah, and that she can go back to boring the class. So Eddie speaks up again and tells him that if he just laid off of her for just 2 seconds, she wouldn't be so nervous. And then that's when the professor's attention's all on Eddie, because he says that he thought of himself as a tolerable teacher, like looking over things that other teachers that are more by the book, would not when they're 19,
I don't know. I don't know how many professors would pick up somebody's phone and start talking to the person.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, he
You know
does
what I mean?
everything
It's
off
like
by the
you,
book. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you think you're this great professor that it's like, no, you're not. You're one of the worst.
Mm-hmm. And then Eddie, not Eddie, the professor's ready to talk to Eddie about this right in the middle of Joey's presentation. So she's like, should I continue? Or, but then the professor says that he's going to let her have another chance to redeem herself. And he asks her another question, but Joey doesn't say anything. And then Eddie answers the question again, making the professor turn his attention back to Eddie. And then, saying that Eddie is a shadow, just someone passing himself off as somebody else.
Yeah, and how nobody in the class knows and
Mm-hmm.
oh. And then Eddie was like, if you want me to leave, just say it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he leaves.
Yep.
And then it was weird because Joey follows him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I was like, Joey can leave the class?
Right.
That was new to me. Like
Yeah.
she's in
And
the
she,
middle of a presentation. I didn't think she could
mm-hmm.
just leave. I would think, well, you left, so F for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
In the
mean,
middle of
can
her,
you leave?
no, especially not in the middle of your own presentation. No. Yeah. And even the professor, says like, where are you going? You got to come back and finish this. And she says, 1 second. And he's like, what did you just say? Like
He knows where she's
yeah.
going.
Mm-hmm. He's just caught off guard that she actually told him like to wait instead of going back to her presentation.
Well, she
Yeah.
don't even know anything in the presentation. Why would she go back to it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she catches up to him and, says that he can't back down from the professor like he told her earlier. But Eddie points out that she's right. She doesn't know anything, what happened back there, and that she's just mind her own business. And then a little bit later at Hell's Kitchen, Joey's trying to find him and then finds out that he doesn't even go to Worthington because Emma tells Joey that he doesn't even live on the campus because he doesn't go to school there.
Yeah, I mean, how did you like when Joey was like, doesn't he live on campus? And she goes,
Yeah.
what campus? And she goes like,
Mm-hmm.
Worthington. And Emma's like, why would he
Mm-hmm.
live at Worthington when he doesn't even go there?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think of that? Because you've never seen it.
Yeah. I knew something about the seeing the professor meant something, but I didn't think it was that exactly. I don't know what I was thinking, but not that.
Yeah. And it is kind of weird how he can just, again, like Audrey, show up in a class and
Mm.
participate and not
Yeah.
actually be a student.
Right.
Because Audrey did it and now he's doing it. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, I didn't know you can do that.
Right. And then apparently he lives 2 hours away, so he's going 2 hours, to there and back again for work every day, which is a
Yeah.
lot.
So basically, your paycheck is your gas money.
Hmm. Yeah, so then Joey goes to go see him and wishes good luck with the gig tonight, and Emma says that she has a surprise for her.
Now, aren't you surprised that Emma was allowed to give out where he lives?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like that should have been confidential. That should not have been, passed on to Joey.
Yep. Because, yeah, I know. Because it's like, it's one thing, obviously, for management to know so that they can give
Hmm.
you your paycheck. But um, it was just weird that Joey is able to get it. Like, what if
Hmm.
she's a serial killer?
Right.
Then he dies. I don't know. It was just weird.
Hmm. And then Heather, Todd, and Dawson are watching the movie clip with Natasha, but Heather still hates it and gets on the phone and lets someone know about it.
Well, and then it
And
was
then,
weird because like they already have their mind made up. Like
yeah.
it's kind of this whole day is a waste because
Hmm.
they already have the thing of, well, we're gonna fire her. And it's like, why aren't they doing it yet? It's really bothering me because you're all you're doing is wasting time.
Hmm. Yeah, but still Todd's persistent and tells Todd to get Heather to watch it again and showed Natasha's strength this time, so they got to re-edit it now.
Yeah,
I
but
feel like,
it wasn't really Todd that was pushing it. It was Dawson.
did I say Todd? I meant Dawson.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I'm like Todd was kind of like ready to give in to
right. Yeah,
Heather
yeah.
too, but then Dawson's like, no, let's rearrange it again. It's like she's already seen one cut and it sucks.
Hmm. So while Dawson's helping the editor, Todd talks to Heather, and it turns out that they did have a relationship in the past. Apparently, Todd had brought Heather to Bermuda and then dumped her for an exotic dance instructor. So a bad move there, Todd, now working with her on this movie. So of course she's probably not gonna listen to anything he says about Natasha. But now, he says she's engaged, so things are worked out for her, and now they're working on this movie, but it might be shut down now. And then, Todd blows up and says that Heather is the one who signed off on having Natasha as the lead. So she already knew what kind of actress she was going into this before even seeing her in the clips.
Yeah, but again, maybe her last film, she was good and professional.
Hmm.
And that's what made them, sign off on her. But then this film, she's clearly not, you know? So it's like, yeah, just because they signed off on her doesn't mean she's still the right person if she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing.
I think this is her first film, though, isn't it? Because
I don't
Dawson's the
know.
one. Because there's this scene later when Dawson and Natasha are talking. Because she said that she was just thinking about going back home and didn't think that it was worth it trying to make, the life of an actress until Dawson found her.
I don't know.
But yeah, but Heather says that she signed off on her because she thought Todd could get a performance out of her. And that's when Dawson walks over to them and says that, you know, I don't know why I put in my notes here, but play the clip again and everyone watches. And Todd asks Heather what she thinks and reminds her that our job could be on the line too. And Heather says that she thinks that Dawson makes a good point when he changed with the changes of the clip that he made. So now, um, 'cause apparently the way they filmed it was made her look bad. And now that's closed up on her and not just the location of the background and everything. It's more means more with her emotions and the fear that she has in the scene. And
Yeah.
then, um, and then at Boston Bay, Jack talks to the professor again about his paper in his office. And then he asked if he had, said yes to kind of, I guess, go out. The professor with the grade had been higher, because he might say yes this time if he asks him again. And then, Jack says that after the professor says that he's just reading too much into this, Jack says that it's one thing to be some scared teenager afraid of his friends, family, and what everybody else might think of him. He can forgive that, he can expect it, but the professor is an adult, so somebody's married to him and he's just ruining lives on a much larger scale, trying to like have an affair with Jack. And then the professor, they kind of go on to say that, back in the professor's day, so maybe like the about 80s, 90s, around there, when the professor was probably Jack's age, it was different back then for him. And, you know, um, not everyone is willing to spend their lives being a part of a despised minority. And Jack says that's true, but maybe he should ask himself who's he really despising? And then Jack walks out. So Jack does have a point there. He's trying to act like it's not a big deal. Like he can just kind of pursue Jack, but not really think about the consequences of everything going on in his life with his wife and now his unborn kid and everything like that. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so my goodness, my voice. But so I'm hoping that's where that ends there with the professor. I'm hoping now that he knows that Jack, has a better understanding of the situation and knows that it would be completely wrong to go any further.
Well, it's kind of like, how much worse can this get?
Hmm.
Like, where can you go from here?
Yeah.
Like with that story. I feel like let's just kill it and let's move
Right.
on.
Hmm. And then at Hell's Kitchen, Audrey asks Jen if Pacey's out there, and Jen says she can't tell because it's too crowded. And then Jen brings up the other night, and Audrey just says that she doesn't really remember it at all. So I don't know if that will be brought up again after that.
Well, if she
And then
doesn't remember it, why is she acting weird?
I know that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if that's going to be end of that. I guess I just don't remember or what.
Or
And
is
then
she
Emma,
just, or does she remember and she's just telling Jen so she would stop it?
right. So then Emma walks in, says it's time for them to perform. So then Audrey goes up on band, Jen goes in the audience, and she introduces their name as House Bells to the place. But I wonder if that was like had to do with the restaurant name,
Well,
or
yeah.
because it seemed like,
I think because Emma works there.
yeah. I'm just wondering because before it seemed like she was in the band for a while now, but it didn't really have any like permanent band members. So it just kind of sounded like they were kind of established, but then kind of not. So I wasn't sure. And then Audrey performs the California Dreaming song again, but this time in like a metal version. Joe wasn't expecting, at least for Audrey to sound like that. The crowd seems to like it.
Did you like it?
No.
For me, it was bad.
Hmm. And then Joey shows up at Eddie's place. He finds her outside at first and asks what she's doing there. And Joey just wanted to talk to him about what happened in class today and that she gets that he's not really a student and doesn't get what it was all for, but then asks if it wouldn't be too much trouble if she could get a glass of water. So then inside his apartment, she tells Eddie that her presentation went fine after he left. And he's kind of being cold to her again, like saying like she didn't need to go all the way there to check on him. Like, why does she put so much, effort into somebody that she doesn't really, know anything about? And Joey says, she's not invested in him or anything, but then he asks why she's even there.
Yeah, she is invested.
Yeah. And then he keeps turning things back to Dawson again and saying that time would be better spent trying to get back with her preppy boyfriend if he'll take her back.
I didn't
So,
know Dawson was preppy.
yeah, I didn't think so either. But it seems like he might like Joey if he keeps bringing up Dawson like that, because it seemed pretty random to bringing him up.
Well, and how he's treating her.
Yeah, unless it's the whole like the guy's being mean to you because he likes you kind of thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think he likes her is because he's being mean to her.
Hmm.
I don't like when they say that, but
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to point to.
Hmm. Oh, and then he also said that she's probably close to getting underneath the professor's hard exterior. It'd just be easier if she just slept with him. So he's just throwing jabs at her left and right about guys. Like he's kind of jealous, even though she doesn't feel anything for the professor this time. But
And
still,
even though when she kissed
hmm,
him. I mean, it's like, uh,
yeah. So he's acting like she was the one that
that pulled
didn't want.
away, you
Yeah.
know.
So it doesn't make sense why he's acting like this at all.
Mm-mm. That's why I didn't really understand him in this episode because I'm like, you're the one that stopped the kiss,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you're the one that said it was because of Dawson. She didn't say that,
Hmm.
and you're the one acting like that. It's just I don't get it. Like again, it's
Right.
not like she's the one, ignoring this.
Hmm.
You are, and you're the one that doesn't really want to talk about it, but yet you're bringing it up in like a different bad way. Like I
Hmm.
don't get it.
Yeah. And then Joey asks if Eddie remembers when he told her to tell him when he's being a jerk. That's right now. And, Eddie just says he could have saved a lot of trouble if she just called him first. So she just leaves, as she should.
But does she have his number?
Well, she could have from Emma, apparently. She really wanted to talk to him like that. And then back at Hell's Kitchen, finishes performing, and then not Audrey, Joey and Jen show up in the, little backstage area.
And it was weird
And
because Joey just got there, but she's getting like the credit.
yeah, mm-hmm,
Poor Jen,
yes,
who's been there.
right. So, they said it was amazing. Emma liked it, and Audrey liked it, and Joey and Jen liked it. And then, uh, uh, Audrey asks where Pacey is, and then that's when she finds out he wasn't even there because nobody answers where he is. And then back in the movie set, Todd introduces Natasha to Heather, even though you would think that they had met before, but really not. Heather says she's a pro and she did a great job tonight. And then Todd and Heather leave. And then that's when Natasha asks how Heather gave her another chance. And Dawson says, you know, he g- he knew she got this part because she was the best person for it. He's incredibly talented.
Um, Also, I mean, this episode, that's where we find out that Dawson and Natasha met at a party.
Yeah, as I was saying before. Hmm.
But I was like, I know, but I was just getting to it. But I was just like, Dawson going to a party? Like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of party it was if they were both there, unless it was something that actors or people in the industry went to, I guess, in Boston. That seems unlikely. I don't know. Or unless it was California, they don't really mention that too much. Yeah, but Dawson says that he only walked up to her because she was the only hot girl in the room who looked like she actually read a book at some point in her life. And after talking to her for a little bit, he knew that she was right for the part.
Oh, stupid.
Well, that was nice. And now it makes more sense why Natasha likes him.
No, it doesn't.
Well, because he was the one that saw something in her when she didn't see it in herself. So
Eh.
she didn't think she had the talent to be an actress.
Bleh.
And then Audrey walks back to the apartment with Emma and thanks for taking a chance on her. And that's where they walk in on Pacey, who's asleep on the couch again. And Audrey wakes him up by shaking him, and he sees her in her punk rock outfit, so he knows that he missed her performance.
I thought it was odd that Audrey would go home with Emma when she's mad at Pacey, and Pacey lives there.
Right. I think she did want to talk to him. So,
Like, why didn't she just talk to him the next day? Like, I don't get it.
well, apparently the apartments are only across the street from the bar, so I just figured it'd be better just to make that short trip there to talk to him. And then he asks how he can make this up to her, and she just says if she could just drive her home.
That's the thing. She wanted to go home anyway, so why didn't you
Yeah,
just go
so
home?
I don't know, I guess she thought she was ready to talk, but she wasn't. I don't know.
Like, Joey was going to the dorm. Why don't you just go with her? Like, it just made no sense.
Yeah. And then at Hell's Kitchen at closing, Eddie shows up to help Joey. He explains that it was an accident the first time he went to class, and Joey asks how that's possible, and he said that it started with Shakespeare. Like they were talking about it, so he got into Shakespeare himself, and they just kind of stayed talking about those plays and all that.
But I still want to know how he was able to go to class every day or every other day.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess because the professor was overlooking it, like he said. I
Well,
guess he was just,
obviously the professor knew that he doesn't belong there. He just
hmm
I don't get it.
yeah, maybe just giving him a chance to learn things. I don't know. Yeah, but Joey explained she only dropped by his place to apologize for what happened, for getting him caught, and that, Hetson wouldn't have singled out on him if he, you know, wasn't so nice to her and trying to help her out. And then he says he wasn't being nice to her, he was showing off. And then he makes Joey smile by quoting Hetson familiar about not being prepared, like mocking him. And then the last scene again with Jack and the professor, um, is apparently Jack left his paper at the office the other day, so he gave it back to him and admits that he did let his emotions affect the grade of his paper. And like when how he was growing up, there were no gay teenagers coming out to their parents on MTV. I didn't think they did that in the first place, but I don't know. Never heard of that. Have you?
Nope.
And then Jack mentions Jack Tripper being the only gay man in America. Now that's a fictional character from Three's Company, so I don't think that was the best example he could have used. But yeah, so it's like at the time there was only that I know of, there was only like Ellen that had came out in the 90s. So yeah, there wasn't really that much, at least especially for men to look up to, because there's nobody like completely out. And then
So why didn't the professor give him a new grade?
I don't know, that's never discussed.
Like if you said you did, like if you finally admit that you did give him a bad grade because of what was going on, then why didn't you give him the real grade?
Yeah. But then the professor tells Jack that if he thinks that the character on the show was a small thing, then maybe he wasn't paying attention in class. And Jack just tells the professor to have the TA's greatest papers from now on. And then Jen comes up and, asks what just happened. And Jack just says that he just got things straightened out with his paper. And that was it. So again, he's still not letting Jen in on what's been going on either. Just
Well,
a
and again,
surprise.
even like the last scene, he's like, he's straight. And I'm
Hmm.
like, huh?
I guess
Okay.
just to not out him out and, protect him in that way, even though
I
he's,
would just because he won't give me the right grade.
yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that at the last end of this scene here. Even if it's just like a B or something, just a little bit higher.
Hmm.
Yep. And then Jack and not Joey, Jen just walk together, arm in arm down the sidewalk.
Eh.
And then, yeah, so the highs and lows.
So my high. I did like when Eddie was defending Joey in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me
Um,
too.
my low, everything else. Oh, what about you?
Yeah, I just didn't like how Eddie was acting toward Joey at his apartment and basically the whole other episode when he wasn't standing up for her. It's like he helps her and then he's kind of yelling at her and he just goes back and forth, which is annoying. And then rating.
Uh, I'd rate this a 6. I hated it. It was boring. I didn't understand why everyone is just, they've all turned in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it. I didn't care. Like, it wasn't enjoyable to watch. I didn't understand half of it.
I don't think I said my
Uh,
high.
I didn't care. What about you?
Well, I'd say 7, but my highest episode would be, um, I guess just the performance, just because I know that they had fun. It wasn't a good performance, but they all had fun being there. And then the worst and best character.
Yeah, what's yours?
The best was Dawson because he did end up saving, Natasha's and
What?
job, because I think that's how he could have made it up to her, about dumping her for Joey like that, like help her out with the scene and how to help Todd, how to help them kind of just put the scene together more better than it was before with his different, acting strategies and different editing, changes that he made to the scene to even make it look good. So Dawson was just like really being a real director more than Todd. So
Who's your worst?
Joy's professor because he just keeps, being mean to Joey and Eddie too, but it's just Joey all the time. He just doesn't give up for some reason.
I know it's like he's got something like a crush on her or something.
Hmm.
I don't know, there's just something weird, like a weird vibe.
Yeah.
So for me, I picked so for the best, I picked Dawson.
Okay.
Um, because yeah, for some reason he was trying to save her job.
Hmm.
Um, even though I think they were in the right to fire her. Um, and I would have fired Todd because he's responsible.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I think that the reason why he was trying to save her job is because she saved his, even though she got him fired.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, he did get her job back. Um, and then it was weird because like Todd's like, talking about why Dawson's like trying to save her job, and he was like, "Well, I'm trying to save everyone's," and I'm like, "You're really just trying
Hmm.
to save hers.
Yeah.
Stop trying to cover that up.
Hmm.
Just admit it." So yeah, he's the best. And then the worst, I mean, there were some people in this episode. But the worst I picked Jack's professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going with the professor theme.
Hmm.
And he was just bothering me. I'm like, you gave him a bad grade, and then you weren't even nice enough to give him the right grade.
Hmm.
Like it
Yep.
bothered me. And just the way
Yeah.
he was treating him this episode, even the last episode, he was kind of into him. Like it bothered me.
Hmm.
This is what I mean. I didn't like the last episode of this episode with him and with Eddie, but I just feel like Eddie sort of met or, like he still protected Joey in the class.
Hmm.
So he kind of wins that, but this professor doesn't win anything. Like he's still annoying.
Hmm.
So that's why he's the worst for me. But yeah, I didn't. The second one was definitely Joey's. I couldn't stand him, but I haven't liked him this whole time. All right. And then what's the next episode?
Episode 6, Living Dead Girl. So
Interesting title.
I guess another Halloween themed episode.
Eh, I hate Halloween.
Hmm. All
All
right.
right. Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Duo Chat Podcast, and give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would really appreciate it.